now. So yeah, I'm in Abu Dhabi. I'm in Rosewood. Everybody's gathering for iftar because it's Ramadan, obviously. But how about you? Where are you?
I am also in. Well, I'm not in Abu Dhabi, but I'm in Dubai. Do you? I'm just in the Palm area as well. Do you fast?
I don't.
Okay, cool. I fast. I don't fast like I guess exact times, but like I still fast just not just in Ramadan, just all the time. I just like
I see.
Yeah.
I see. My change to the schedule or like in habits is like really the change to the schedule. I started meeting people quite late times. That's what it is.
That's cool.
So we are discussing the NFTs and the successful marketing in a Web3 space. You're an expert in this. So it'd be, of course, great to hear all the free tips that you could give us out. But before anything else, I would love you to share a little bit about yourself, your story, and how you got into Web3.
Yeah, absolutely. So my background is paid media with public companies. I was doing up to 500K a month, paid advertising, and then um, I back in 2020. Well, I learned about crypto back in 2016 through a friend of mine in this guy from Ukraine, and he sold everything he had and bought Bitcoin. Literally like sold his car, everything he had, and then just bought Bitcoins. So I learned about crypto, of course, through him in 2016. But it wasn't until 2021 when I was still just doing my paid ads, and there was an artist from Italy. He reached out and he wanted me to just use the same strategy. He just was a believer in paid ads, and he said, "Can you just use the same strategy, sell out his collection?" And then I did that, and then that was a proof of concept for me to know what I learned or mastered in Web 2 would could also work in Web 3. And it also turned out like no one else was a believer of it. And honestly, even to this date, I still think like a lot of people are a complete disbeliever or non-believer of paid ads in Web 3 to the point where I wrote out an article about it on Entrepreneur. I even like screenshot the ads dashboard for people against the smart contract of the projects that we've done this, where so just so people see it, right? So at the end of the day, everyone has a lot of ideas about everything, but was actually working. It's just it's on the blockchain. So anyways, that really, I suppose that was my claim to fame, where that's was a very different approach that a lot of people in the space believe. Plus, also they didn't know how to run ads. I think that was also the other big thing is a lot of people would either get banned or they didn't know how to get around it, or they just simply didn't know how to run Twitter ads. It's still a lot of people don't know. And so anyways, that's what got me popular in the space, and a lot of people would come to me for their projects. Now, since then, sold out several projects in the bear market, bull market, in the but like cumulatively, somewhere around 78% of projects I worked with we sold out, and the rest of them sold somewhere around 40 to 80%. So it's not like they didn't bomb, but they they didn't completely sell out, and even those we still work with them, just get them to the finish line. So that's really background and what I'm up to, and that's all I do. There's nothing else we do. I know some agencies out there they do a lot of other things too, but this is the only thing we do.
Yeah, paid marketing in crypto is something. I remember the days when there were no restrictions at all. Were you already here when back in the days when remember, neither Facebook nor Google, nobody had any restrictions. You could advertise ICOs day and night. All my stream was like ICOs, really.
Yeah, and so that's the history of that is also very very I suppose very insightful, because I remember, so in my Discord, of course, a lot of people were attracted to my work because of like just the way I was doing things was just had a lot of paid ads into it. And I remember in my Discord there was a time where I was telling everyone, be like, okay, so Instagram ads to get Discord members is working really well, and then we would just build these like huge Discord channels, like 250,000 plus people, just with paid ads alone. And then I remember literally 2 weeks after I announced that on my Discord, where I was like, this is working really well, everyone should do this. Literally 2 weeks after that, I announced again and I said, well, actually, there was someone from my incubator actually posted, was like, it's actually not working for us, and your videos that you created is outdated. I'm like, what do you mean? It was literally like 2 weeks ago. And then um, and then it actually turned out literally around that time. So in a matter of 2 weeks, Facebook changed the targeting. Facebook changed the policy around crypto. They actually started just like banning a lot of accounts, and then so everything just changed. Like we stopped actually doing that strategy with Instagram completely, and then went on to the next platform, which was at the time, like we were like, okay, so Twitter ads, that would be the next way. So they go through a lot of changes. Like even Twitter itself has gone through significant changes on. It used to be that they wouldn't even allow any games to advertise. Now they do allow games, but then you can only advertise them in the U.S. and Brazil, unless you have a, I don't know. I guess you just know basically loopholes in like how they look at things. In which case, then you could potentially target all countries, but for majority of people, it's just going to be U.S. and Brazil if it's a game. But that's a big change too. Like before Elon came about, they didn't even let a single game advertise. So it's very dynamic on these platforms, Reddit, Twitter, all of these.
What is working right now then?
I mean, we don't do just paid ads, so I know like that's how a lot of people find me. But we also do launch pads. We do like whitelisted strategy, so on and so forth. But uh, there's I suppose maybe a better way to answer your question is just saying what's not working, in a sense that a lot of people thinking what got projects sold out in 2021, that's still working. So the strategy
Naive.
Yeah, exactly. So the strategy was, build this. It was like a fake it till you make it type of strategy. So you would get a lot of bots for your Twitter. You would buy a lot of retweets, followers, comments, blah blah blah, and then you get like a lot of people talking in your Discord. You pay them to talk about your project. So shillers and chatters, and then you would the strategy was also like sometimes you would do market making. So like you would just be trending on OpenSea or different platforms, or I guess different marketplaces, and then people would just be like, "Oh, this is great! They're gonna sell out," and then they would go on to buy. So what I suppose is very strange is a lot of people are still doing that. Like actually, still attempt to do that. They still buy followers. They still buy retweets from promoters. Like that was literally 2 years ago. So it's just gone. That era has passed. I actually saw a project. Someone in my incubator showed it to me 2 days ago. They did it and they sold out. Now we haven't looked to see how much of the sales were. So they did about, I think, 1.5 million in sales. We didn't look to see how much of the sales
NFT?
were. Yeah, it was an NFT project. We didn't look to see how much of the sales were actually themselves, as in like market making versus like real people buying. But I do suspect a good portion of it just came from like market making, and then the rest is just people who are just like, wow, okay, this project is like doing well. Let's go buy. I don't want to miss out on the opportunity. So, but that's very rare. Most of the people who do this stuff right now, they fail. Like they fail miserably. Like nothing happens. And so that's, I suppose that's one thing. And then second thing that doesn't work is the whitelisted strategy, which a lot of people still think it works. They still do it. So uh, we have case studies about this on my website, publicly available, where we calculated out of the people who whitelisted, what percentage of them actually bought NFTs, and it was under 5%. And so these were whitelisters that came from collaborations. So like collabs is like a really big deal right now, right? Everyone talking about collabs. Do giveaways of whitelist to this person or this promoter or this other alpha groups, and that we literally calculated that, and not just for one brand, several brands. Like the conversion for that is pretty low. And so those are two things I suppose that everyone that comes into the space, they think that's the way to go, and it's just not true. It just really doesn't work. And I was actually, now we're the title you have, the Reddit and push. I was actually reading right before I came on this. I was reading so Gary V and Reddit, they created a like a playbook for launching NFTs, and quite honestly, even stuff that's in there, I mean, that's from 2022, but even stuff that's in there, even though Gary Vee sold out and even though Reddit sold out, it's stuff that's in there is pretty misleading. Like a lot of it is actually not true. Like they talk about, for example, like a sweet spot for a price of an NFT is $200 to $300. It's like completely false. Like completely false. It couldn't be further from truth.
Really?
And yeah. And so it's like there's and it's interesting that these guys, I mean, it's it's also it's also interesting that these guys they like Gary V. I mean, I have Gary V's NFT. I think he's done a tremendous job with his NFT, but the way that he launches his project has nothing to do with like how an ordinary person launches a project. And so that's what's confusing for people, is like, and then so in a way, when he talks about like how people should sell out their projects, in a way, um it's kind of like, well, there's only one Gary Vee out there. Like, there's not that many Gary V's out there. So, like, how is this useful? And so when they talk about like, the way they've done it and like their experiences, like, well, that's nice to know, but that's not really useful for an ordinary person who wants to launch an NFT, like an artist or developer. So, so that's really, yeah. I mean, what's working is really customized, but what's not working, those are the things I suppose that a lot of people think it's working, but it's not actually.
What is your kind of framework for the NFT sellout? Key principles?
Yeah. Okay. So right now, obviously, we're talking about like bear market and what it is right now, right? Because in the past it was completely different. So there's no point talking about the past. So right now, every single part of the project, we pay attention to. And what I mean by that is, let's say the way the website is designed, what's on the top of the website, what's on the bottom, what's in the middle, what's the second, like what's right below above the fold like section, like, so the order of things, the what's written, the call to action. So that's just for website, right? So every piece of the actual collection has to be done in a certain way, and when I say certain way, it has to be optimized. And in the past, we didn't have to, but people who came from, let's say my experience, we would have to do like any product that we would actually sell out. I mean, let's say sell online, would have to optimize everything, right? Optimize landing page, optimize the ads, optimize creative, optimize copy, right? And right now, it's very similar to that, where like all these pieces have to be, I say, quote unquote perfect. And so I talked about the website, but then what about white paper, right? So what's in your white paper? Like every single line of it, we actually read. We'll be like, okay, this doesn't make sense. Change that. Change this. Let's say the pricing, the choice of chain. Let's say as far as what should be on your Twitter, what should be on your YouTube. Should you even have an Instagram? What should you post on, for example, YouTube, right? Or like all these different pieces, they're very important, and that's what we call just the social media presence, right? So that's basically one piece of it. Like, what do you look like online? And then the second piece to it is, okay, how are you gonna build a just small community but true fans? So in the past, strategy was like, how are you gonna build a large community, because a lot of them would buy. But now it's like, no, how do you build? It doesn't have to be large. How do you just build a true fans right now? That's really, that's our focus. And it's like on Twitter, sometimes it could look like it's like 5,000 people and 10,000 people, right? And that's all it takes. Like a Trump collection, December 15th of last year, sold out in honestly, I think it was like 45,000 NFTs. It sold out probably about a day, uh, and 5,000 followers on their Twitter at the time of the sold out, right? And that's counterintuitive for people. They're like, oh, so you should have like 50,000, or if it's like Trump, then they should have millions of followers, right? So it's not, right? So there's a lot of suppose a lot of pieces, and then all these pieces together, that's what makes a sellout.
Yeah, that's very interesting, especially about the Trump NFTs. I think I've spoken to a project who was organizing the Trump NFTs from the tech perspective. The guys from Hungary, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, cool.
Andras, you probably know him.
I'm familiar with the team actually. That launched that. But yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. What? Let's switch into the more of the philosophical topics. Like, what do you love and what do you hate about the NFTs?
Yeah. So I honestly, what I love about NFTs is just that it's like the personal side of it is there's a lot of things that we're building. We don't have a map. We don't have a teacher. We don't have a trainer. A lot of things in this space, we'll just come up with it on a daily basis. We literally, and especially my incubator too. Like I had a call right before this with people from my incubator. There's a lot of this is just a lot of innovation.
You'll need to tell more about your incubator too later.
Cool. Yeah. So there's just a lot of innovation. That's very exciting, right? So I think a lot of industries, when you get into them, everything has been figured out. Versus NFTs, barely anything has been figured out. And then, but also like I suppose on top of that, a lot of people who are in this space, they don't have the capability to figure things out. They're mostly focused on I suppose very specific things. Like, so we've got the traders, we've got just shit posters, and then we've got, let's say, people who just want to launch a collection and then move on, right? So it's like very specific. Everyone can only do so many things in this space, and so the aspect of innovation and me being just so close to these people coming up with new ideas and run it by us and be able to try it out and then just tell us. Some of them fail, some of them are successful, and that's, to me, that's really cool. It's very I suppose attractive nature of this NFTs, and then I guess what I don't like about it is how you know I guess what I don't like about the community is how there's still people are still stuck with the NFT as like cool thing as a technology. It's like me just like pitching you like emails, right? Be like, hey, there's this thing called like emails, and like here's what emails does, like, right. So it's like that the aspect of I suppose the community that doesn't grow or doesn't evolve around NFTs. That's the part that I don't really like. That's sometimes it's you would think, and it's partly because just I mean, there's not that many people even talking about NFTs right now, especially now that there's not hype. Everyone wants to
Yeah.
talk about AIs. Everyone wants to talk about AIs. So other than like people who are just like us, we're just specifically focused on it. A lot of people just move on, and then there's not much source of information. So no wonder a lot of it. People come in, they're like very misled in this space, and so yeah. So what I like about it, innovation. What I don't like about it is actually a just I suppose people who just don't want to evolve in this space. And there are some people like that in this space. They're still thinking it's like 2021.
Right.
Yeah.
Why don't you tell more about the incubator? And meanwhile, I'm getting the messages from my team that my connection is actually somehow bad.
Oh,
I'm pretty sure you can hear me all right, but
yeah.
somehow my stream is being like poorly streamed on LinkedIn. So I'll reconnect from another device.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Meanwhile, really curious to learn more about the incubator.
Yeah. Cool. So the incubator, uh, you gonna go and come back, or should I tell you about the incubator?
Yeah, I'm here. I'll switch over
Okay,
unnoticeably.
cool. Okay, cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the incubator is honestly, it actually was created because I had this Discord of essentially just my clients, and then people would just say, hey, some stuff it's out there that like if you were to actually just put it in a form of videos and do calls with us, that would be like really helpful. And then I said, I don't know, I don't want to do this. Who has time to build videos or any of that? So, anyways, I just bunch of people kept asking, and then I was like, okay, fine. So I created that, and then so that was what initially started initially that's how I started the incubator, just so we can do basically, I suppose, be in a group of people that all wanting to do the same thing, and then just learning from each other. That's how it started, and then eventually, it's actually grew into almost like a lab where when I have clients or whatever, like if it's done for you, done with you, when I have clients that they so they respect me and appreciate my insight into things, but maybe we have a lot of echoes, by the way. But maybe they don't want to necessarily do what I've done in the past, right? So there's certain things I've done in the past, and it's like you go to your favorite restaurant and you don't want to, sometimes you just want to eat your favorite meal, right? So sometimes you don't want to ruin your day and try something that maybe not good, right? And so that's really a concept for me when I just take on a client myself and I'm doing all their marketing. I usually do things that has worked in the past for me. Versus my lab, my incubator is like people. They're like, no, they don't like the ways I've done things in the past. They're like they want to do things on their own, but they still want to get insight from if I were to do things their way, how would I do it? And they want to learn from other people, like what they think about it too. So it's kind of like these people that they just don't really want to do what I tell them to do, and then want to do it in their own way. And that's really what our incubator is. And they still get sold out. Like we had since November, we had two three collections they sold out. So they still sell out. It's just like very different than how I would sell out projects if I were to just do it personally, which is completely fine too. So that I don't know how much of it you caught, but yeah, that's
Almost, oh, yeah, almost everything. And so
cool.
you live in Dubai, right?
I do.
When did you move over here, and how do you enjoy
So
it?
yeah, first time I came to Dubai was actually 2009. where Dubai looked completely different. And then I came a bunch of times since then. Uh, so I've been living in well, I actually lived in Dubai back then for about like a 2 month ish, and then I I was traveling though. I was like traveling everywhere. So then I started living in the UK. I went to school there. Then went to US. Lived there for a while. Then went to Canada. Lived there for a while, and then eventually I came back. I was like, okay, this is my place. Like I just like hospitality. I like the just it's just so safe. And then people and when I say safe, I think people may be confused about like what I mean by that. So just to just to qualify that for people, like in London, um, for example, the rate by which people get stabbed is actually pretty high, like way more than what people think London is. Or like let's say in Vancouver, Canada, um, actually, even though Canada is pretty like a chill, country, it's the rate of like I guess the number of criminals in Canada in Vancouver specifically is pretty high, and there's just like a lot
No
of
way.
no, it is yeah,
Wow.
and then and so it's it's like it the impact of that. I mean, I lived in a really good area as well, but the impact of it, it's like we see people like getting stabbed like at the gas station, this place, that place. So it's like
Yeah.
it's not like it's I mean, okay, sure, it's scary if you're being impacted by it, but like more important is like what if there are places that people focus on their growth and instead of like killing each other, like wouldn't it make sense to like go there? So that's really I suppose my rationale behind Dubai. Plus also I just culturally I just really like the culture, and people that I know here. So I would say those are the reasons, and it's like big crypto community of course as well.
Uh, where exactly do you live?
Palm area. So at the very beginning,
Oh,
actually.
okay.
Yeah,
That's nice. Very
yeah,
chill.
yeah, yeah. It's very quiet. Like peaceful, and so yeah. Although the architecture, I would say, like I don't know if I've never heard anyone from Dubai talk about this, but the architecture of the roads is pretty messed up. Like I can't believe
It
like this
is.
country. This country didn't quite get that right. Like everything else, they've done a tremendous job. Like honestly everything, like any any factor where you like look at this country, um all the towns, all the like everything they've done really well. In Dubai specifically, I would say the roads, the way it's designed, it's just actually very ineffective, like especially like Palm, you have to go like depends on which side you are. You have to go so far to be able to like cross the street, to get to the other side. So it's kind of like weird how it's designed, but other than that, I mean, honestly, these are just like being picky. Like it's just so wonderful. The people are so amazing, very respectful, very warm. I suppose warmness is like a really big deal. Like not just like the weather itself, but like people really warm and nice. So yeah, all of that.
Yeah, this road system thing is it's a Dubai thing though. Like I live in Abu Dhabi, can say it's been pretty good here.
Okay,
But
okay,
yeah, the main Abu Dhabi island is like a grid system, um, similar to every other like large U.S. city, for example, and it's very easy to get from one place to another. You will rarely see any traffic, and there is no situation in which you'd say like, it's illogical, like it's just across the street, but it'll need me like half an hour to get there because
right.
you have to U-turn somewhere like 5 kilometers from here.
Yeah,
Um, yeah,
that's cool. Yeah, I've only been to Abu Dhabi once, to be honest. It's really weird. I actually haven't made it there that often, but I it was during the time where it was still because of COVID. Like it was very strict. Like I remember, like I heard one time they were saying like even like employees need to like get PCR checked every day or something like that. I was like, wow, that's just a lot. So, but yeah,
Yeah,
I
you
don't know
need
much.
to be you needed to be like fully vaccinated, and you needed to have PCR tests every week, and then
Wow,
they change it to every second week later.
wow, that's
And
that's
yeah,
intense. That's intense. So, yeah,
yeah, I liked it by the way though. Like I mean, for me it was a measure that I know everybody would would be accountable to entertain, so that everyone is safe if everyone else is observing the rules.
right. Yeah, I wouldn't. I'll be in complete disagreement on that one. I
Yeah,
don't
I
even like
know.
it. Yeah,
I'm in a minority, that's for sure.
yeah. No, I don't think you're in
I
minority, but I still wouldn't like it. Yeah.
I am actually I was a huge proponent of masks, and although of course all of us hate wearing masks, and when COVID started in very early March, I was already like telling to my team like, hey, you need to work from home because this may get really scary really fast. And if the World Health Organization would really organize the total lockdown in the first 2 weeks of it, I think it could be like pretty much suppressed in its root. It didn't happen though. They did poor job in isolating it though.
Right. Yeah. No, I would. I was, to be honest, like I wasn't. There was not a single moment, but I just thought like I probably got like if anything, I probably got COVID like a few times during what it was when it was happening as well, and I I don't. I wasn't really concerned about it at all. Like throughout, like from the day it started all the way till now that it's like, appears to not be an issue as much. And the what what has been terrifying for me like lately is just more so, the banks that, like, when I hear like so many of the banks like they're just gonna go belly up. To me, that's terrifying. Versus like everything I heard about COVID. I mean, obviously side effects of like vaccines I heard and things like that. Those are those are sure, but it's there's a I don't know much about it, right? So I don't know a lot about it, but what I do know in the finance side of things, when I hear things like that where it's banks, like let's say SVB Bank, 50% of the startups actually do business with them, and then they couldn't all of a sudden. And those things are just very I suppose, in in uh, let's say they register for me as very impactful, and so, but I'm sure everyone has their own things, right? Everyone has their own their the things that they get concerned about, you know.
Yeah. All right. So the topic of our today's stream is Porsche versus Reddit. I think we've got everybody intrigued about the details on that. Do you want to tell the story?
Yeah. So first of all, for people who don't know, I still think some people still don't know about either one of them, right? So just give a
Yeah.
context to people. So Porsche NFT. Uh, well, first of all, there are a lot of these, I suppose, car or companies. So Audi launched on Tezos last year around, I want to say sometime in 2022, maybe mid 2022, and then McLaren somewhere around May 2022 launched on Tezos as well and successful, like completely. I think they did like 5 waves, so it's just like phases or drops, however you want to call it, but they called it waves. And then Mercedes, they got their trademark with something to do with metaverse or NFTs, but they never launched. Lamborghini, they wanted to launch. I don't think they ever launched, or maybe they just kind of like a slow man. They started. Uh, but they started, I suppose, in this. They wanted to start in December 2022, but I just never heard of it. So that just appears to me. Suppose they didn't start it, and then we got Porsche. So Porsche NFT, after all of these almost like all of these, it's like five, six of these car companies. They did something in this space. Actually, almost all of them were successful. And then Porsche came in, and it just left an impression on people in this space that they were wildly unsuccessful. And then and so I actually wrote either on Forbes or Cointelegraph about this, but it's so just people first of all know the facts. So it's the mint didn't get completed. So meaning they had I can't remember the exact number of the NFTs right now. Maybe it was a 10,000 if I'm not mistaken. I think somewhere around 60-75% of it didn't even get minted. And so about maybe 3,000 ish of those NFTs were minted. So somewhere around 30% of the actual NFTs were minted. Now, so then and then they stopped the mint. So that's another thing that these are always the facts of it. So before I just give you my opinions about it, so so those are the facts, and it was on Ethereum. The price point was 0.911. So typical, I suppose not typical, but average price on Ethereum is 0.07, and they just decided to go on. Let me know if this was disconnected because I can't see you, Ian. Are you back? Are you back? Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, the price. So it was on Ethereum. The price point was 0.911 after obviously the 911, the turbo Porsche.
Right.
And and then yeah, so they didn't sell out, and you would think massive giant company, billions of dollars, they would sell out. Like what could be causing, like would like people, and this is a really, I suppose, good learning lesson for people in Web3 when they keep talking about saying, oh, it's all about the community. It's like, no, it's not about the community, because these guys had a community, and the community just didn't want it, right? And then you look at their actual Twitter page now. I don't know if they're now that after all of this is said and done, if they're deleting some of their posts, but they barely even tweeted about their project because they weren't sure, right? And this is like a very typical thing with giant companies coming in. They have a lot to lose, and so
Right.
they just get scared. Like, it's terrifying. They're like, well, what's gonna happen? And in fact, the data on Reddit. So Reddit did some internal surveys in 2022, and then one out of every two people, they want their favorite brand to do an NFT, but also some crazy number of them, it's like 50-60% of them, they said that chances are these brands that they're going to do it unsuccessfully, this is just people saying, by the way, on Reddit, chances are the brands that are going to do it unsuccessfully, they're going to ruin the NFT space. And so there was a lot of conversation around Porsche where people were saying, well, these guys couldn't even sell out. Like, why couldn't they? And then people started looking, right? So then one of the things, obviously, or you just disappeared again. I'm gonna wait until you're back because I don't know if people hear. Okay, you're back.
Yeah.
So yeah, one of the things that people started talking about on Twitter about them is that if you look at the board of advisors, they didn't have a single person from Web3. It was people from, I think they had someone from Armani, they had someone from Ferrari, they had someone, like all these like people in Web2 didn't have a clue what's going on in Web3. And then uh, and then you would just, I mean, it's just very obvious, right? If you have no idea, inside the bear market, you come up with a price point that's just so high.
Yeah.
And And then I read, now this is obviously relevant to Reddit as well. I read the playbook Reddit and Gary Vee created. Well, it's not Gary Vee himself, it's his company, VaynerMedia. They created. And they had this thing in that playbook actually. They said if a price point of a brand, if a brand is a luxury brand, the price of the NFT also should be luxury. And it's like so like it can't be further from false. Like the that's the worst advice I've ever heard anyone given in this space. So just because Porsche is, let's say, I don't even know if it's like considered luxury, but like at least it's a higher end, uh, let's say brand, car brand, then they should have a price point so much higher than the average price on Ethereum, which is one of the chains that's like most, let's say, skeptic, and then thinking that's going to be okay. So that's another reason. It was very confusing for people why they should even buy the NFT because a lot of the NFTs just looked very similar in a sense that was just like maybe color was different, background was different, but then that's really all it was, and that's in comparison to. So this is not so much of a judgment of the brand because I mean these guys there are artists behind this, so it's not nice and not fair to just talk behind people who are not in this obviously, but it's more like a comparison, let's say. So McLaren launched their NFT as well in 2022. The concept of NFT that they used was very genius. They're like, okay, you guys can now buy, let's say, NFTs for specific pieces of a McLaren car, and then you can grab all these NFTs and then build your own car. It's like that's pretty cool. Like if I'm interested
Yeah.
in McLaren car, like in the vehicle itself, I'm gonna want to do that. Like that makes sense, and then I can tap into my Web2 community and just say, hey guys, this is you wanna actually build your own car. Here's how you can build your own car. Like that's really cool. Versus Porsche was just like you get this NFT and then that's it. Now, so that's obviously we're just giving a lot of hard time to Porsche, but uh, having said all of that, people say they failed, but they didn't actually fail. Now, reason for that is so this is my insight into this. Now, why I say that is a the floor price actually went up. So from the time that people bought these NFTs, if someone got in because they were just investing, just no other reason, just wanted to invest in in this project, they actually benefited and it went up. Now, if someone came in and was like gonna actually get the let's say the utility of it. I actually believe last week or maybe 2 weeks ago they started actually delivering things to their people, and so to me that's actually successful. Weirdly enough, right? So it's with all that to say as a typical project Web3 project, how much of how many things they've done wrong, and not being able to save a face when they couldn't finish like 10,000 NFTs, those aside, they actually did a great job in at least entering the market, right? So I spoke with people, people at what's the name of the company? Oh my god, it's one of these. They have lipsticks. I can't remember the name right now. Anyways, it's a giant Web2
Sorry,
company.
man, not my cup of tea.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Not remembering for good reasons. So the it's a lipstick brand. I can't remember right now. But anyways, I was on a panel with them, and then giant company. Everyone knows them. And I asked them. I said, and they started just recently doing VR. I'm like, you guys, VR is kind of old, don't you think? You should be doing at least like metaverse NFTs. Like VR was like ages ago. And then and they're like, no, we want to watch, see other brands what they do, just brands like Porsche, let them come in, fail, we learn from the lessons, and then we're gonna get in, and we're gonna come and crush it, right? And it's very interesting to think it that way too, right? So I suppose Porsche is actually brave, right? So not all brands, into the Web3 yet. Like Starbucks came in, of course, all these car companies came in. Let's say Reddit, massive social media company came in. So a lot of I suppose Web 2 brands in, Old Navy.
Right.
I think some toilet paper brand got in. I didn't even know until like very recently. And
What?
so yeah, like it's
Toilet
crazy.
paper
So
brand.
yeah,
Look at that.
exactly, literally. So many brands got in, but it's actually really brave, right? So brave for them to come in. So that's as far as the push. Now, Reddit, on the other hand, came in and crushed it. Like they were not only successful in the eyes of Web 3, they were successful in the eyes of Web 2 people. Like, and there's not a single thing that people can say like these guys didn't do well. Like everything they did was just so uh, I suppose like smooth, like in as for the process that this the minting happened. So they actually launched two different projects, sold out both of them. They brought more active wallets to the Web 3 space than largest marketplace OpenSea accumulated over the past few years. So OpenSea brought the total active, well, not active wallet, the total wallets on OpenSea, they're about 2.6 million. And then first launch of Reddit, they brought in at least like 3-4 million people. Another launch they did, total they brought somewhere around 6-7 million people, active wallets. And so that's really really big deal. Like they probably made the most difference in the Web 3 industry as for any project that could come in and actually get them, let's say the Web 2 people interested in NFTs without even calling it NFTs. They call it, of course, digital collectibles. And so a lot of people ask, they're like, how can we get people from Web 2 interested, or like how can we get this mainstream, right? And
Uh-huh.
reddit is the I would say the only and the one and only that made the most difference. Like you would think like Bored Apes and all these like OG collections, they made it popular, but not as much as not as much and not as well and effectively as Reddit. So Reddit just came in last, let's say, and did the best, really. And so tremendous job they've done as far as bringing a lot of active wallets. And why one of the reasons they were successful is they weren't really focused on the word NFT itself, and they realized, they said, well, these people on Reddit, they were already really into their profile pictures, and getting karmas and getting like upgrades and so on and so forth. What if they could create an NFT that's actually relevant to those people, and then they could actually use it as a profile picture as well? So it just made complete sense. Like everything about their NFT, unlike Porsche, made complete sense to their people. I mean, they already have really passionate community. Everyone's like, they very once in a way it's like very one sided type of community. They just take a stance on something, and so anyways, that's a lot of things that they've done was very simple, but very effective and made the most difference in this space. Like I think for years to come, like they they've just made the most change over the past year since the NFTs were invented, and so it's tremendous.
What do you think is the future of the NFTs, and what trends are you seeing now?
Yeah, so I mean, NFTs is itself is going to get to the place where people either buy it or use it without knowing it's NFTs, and that's really the future. Like I think Ticketmaster, they had conversations around using NFTs in the backend. I don't know if they ever
Right.
did, and so that's really cool. A lot of games now coming out where they have NFTs in them, but no one knows they're NFTs, right? So that's cool. And in fact, actually, largest gaming companies, so EA, Sony, and I think this. I don't know if it was Sony that came up with Quartz, one of their NFT collection, or another one. But all these like billion-dollar, largest billion-dollar gaming companies, they're actually starting something in the NFTs, which is going to transform the well, transform and also make it mainstream for people to not only learn about NFTs but also just use it as well. I think there's this stats that about 50% of the people on the like on planet Earth they actually play games, and that's crazy. Like that's a lot of people, and so uh, just to get those type of people into NFTs for a reason, that's going to make a huge make a huge difference in the population that's supposed aware and uh, maybe favorable for NFTs as well.
Cool. So we are almost done with the time allocated for this. Before we call it a day and leave for our beautiful weekend. Hopefully the weather is not so great in Dubai and Abu Dhabi, but anyhow.
And when he says not so great, it's like perfect compared to a lot of other countries. But yeah, sure.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, the thing is with human nature is that we get used to everything good, and then once it becomes just gradually worse than perfect, we tend to complain about it, which I definitely do. So how do we get in touch with you if we need to talk? Like, how can the potential partners and clients get a hold of you, man?
Absolutely. So my handle on Twitter is Arvin K NFT. So that is ARVIN KNFT. And then I also have another handle, Sold Out Secrets. So that's where I do my show. We have a weekly show on Wednesday, 9:30 p.m. Dubai time. We have a lot of great people, experts come and contribute. About every week is a different topic, and people can come contribute, participate, and so that's that. And then for people who want to get into the launching their own NFT collections, like I've actually brought people into the NFT world from like just the idea of an NFT, um, all the way to get them be like a pro in the NFT world and like selling out collections. So I have all the resources under the sun. I can assist people with, and so if they just go on sold out NFTs, so that's soldnfts.io. And they can book a time with my team, or they can add us on Telegram, Arvin K NFT as well, and then we can chat and see if we can assist them.
Are you still charging 10K for a NFT course?
For our incubator, yeah, that's 10K, and they get immediate access to it if they want to go through it, and then it has calls twice a week, where with me and other brands, where it's like I was just telling people, like it's just really good to understand what you can get as far as like you basically learn from mistakes of others, and not like making it your own, and then there is I create a customized marketing strategy for them as part of that 10K. um, I give them as many things as I can. I just came up recently with it's a bot that I created on Twitter that comments on large accounts, and like I'm just gonna give it to people, right? So like cool things that just comes about. Like we also give it to people that are in our incubator as well. So yeah, if anyone was interested in that, of course, like they can just shoot us a message. We'll get them set up, and they can immediately start actually getting the benefits.
Cool. Thanks, bro. It's been a pleasure to have you.
Of
And
course,
I actually have a few projects to refer your way.
cool.
Soon,
Please.
very soon.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. That's awesome. Yeah.
Thanks for coming. I'll hear you on Wednesday on your Twitter space.
Sounds good. Sounds good. Yeah, definitely. Would love to have you on.
Cool. Enjoy the weekend.
We'll do. We'll do.
Cheers.
Cheers. Bye for now.